Continuous learning and being updated is the minimum requirement for success in any field. It's my pleasure to introduce the speaker for this session, Patentee L. Peter Stanley Bebington, Professor and Dean Academic. Patentee L. Peter Stanley Bebington joined Vellalar College of Engineering and Technology as Dean Academic in July 2011. Currently, he is the NBA coordinator for the institution. He was also a part of the team that pioneered accreditation status for 5 engineering programs. His primary interest lies in system design based on microprocessor and microcontroller technologies. His other interests include filing inventions and getting patents from Government of India. Prior to joining VCET, he was a lecturer of ECE at Government College of Technology, Coimbatore from 1975 to 1988. He served as professor of ECE at Institute of Road and Transport Technology, Erode, from 1988 to 2009, where his interests were in television engineering, microprocessor-based system design, etc. He was the principal at Institute of Road and Transport Technology, Erode, from 2009 to 2012. He was been awarded a patent for his invention, IR sensor control system for submersible pump, and another patent in 2018 for his invention titled an authenticated self-defense system. He has also been awarded a copyright for his work, Automated Order Processing and Sales Management System. He earned BE in ECE in the year 1973 and Masters in Communication Engineering in the year 1975, both from Anna University, Chennai. He was part of the team that invented the electronic voting machine in 1982, which was successfully used to conduct college union election at Government College of Technology, Coimbatore, for the first time in India. He was awarded several certificates and awards from the Department of Technical Education, Tamil Nadu, for guiding best projects done by the students of engineering colleges. As more and more artificial intelligence is entering into the world, more and more emotional intelligence must be entered into leadership, said Amit Ray, famous AI scientist, author of Compassionate Artificial Intelligence. Yes, the session is about the rise of the conscious machines. How far should we take AI? Sir, we now request you to take over the session.
Thank you and good afternoon to all. Let me my do you see my screen?
Yes, sir.
Okay, thank you. Uh, why this topic today? Because artificial intelligence is poised to make a very great impact in all the fields. So we have artificial intelligence and the subset, the machine learning, then deep learning. There are various applications in all the fields. For example, might have heard about the self-driving car that has got a deep learning model inside. So people are working around. So why should I want to talk about the rise of conscious machines and how far should we take AI? So we have applications of AI and the conscious machines are the computers and the robots. So they actually try to see, now we are not having dumb robots, which are actually designed for doing some specific task. They actually put AI inside, artificial intelligence, machine learning, and so on. So they make it intelligent. You know that there are a lot of people spending a lot of money for developing. Some research team is working on this. That is having this robot to mimic a human being. So that is artificial intelligence. And you know that Microsoft recently they have sanctioned around $1 billion for this research to make a machine conscious. Okay, that is think like a human. So when the people are spending so much money and the technology is evolving, why should not we learn about this? Because the thing is, the, today the teachers should know what is actually going on, because this is everywhere, not only electronics or computers or biomedical, healthcare, mechanical, something like that. It's everywhere. So every faculty in each department they should know the impact of artificial intelligence. And then since they are spending so much money making a machine, that is the ultimate aim, to think like human. So what are things involved? So that is why I was interested to know what is actually going on, the different projects that are going around, and try to find out whether it is possible. Just imagine, all will be excited when you see a robot, right, think like a human. That is, a robot be conscious or self-aware, something like that. So what is going on, and we do not know when they will achieve this. So all this faculty that you should know what is going on, and you have to share with the students also, irrespective of the branch of study, what is actually going on, what is going to happen, something like that. Okay, so now I will quickly go to the slides. Um, Now you see. So it is very interesting to see. Would you sell your soul on Amazon? Because Amazon nowadays, sells everything. Okay. So what will happen after our death, right? Will you be living as a ghost in a machine? Is it possible? That means if you want to live, you have to upload your mind, because the body is not there because you are dead. So your mind, right? Whether it is possible, upload your mind, your thoughts, your memories, your personality to a computer, right? So then that means your consciousness to pattern of electrons. You convert your consciousness to pattern of electrons. So if it is available in Amazon, right? Let us assume, right? It's not going to happen now, right? After a few years, right? You are after that your consciousness or your mind is actually available in Amazon. So others can copy it, edit it, sell it, or pirate it. So it might be bundled with the other electronic minds, right? Or it could be deleted also. One fine morning, this is going to happen. Okay. Now, right now, right, maybe around 20 people are watching me. Okay. See, right now you have a movie playing inside your head. Let us assume that you are actually listening to me. There is slight distraction immediately, right? You think about something, what has happened in the morning or yesterday morning or afternoon, right? All these images will be coming to your mind. You play it. This is called the inner movie. Right now, you have a movie playing inside your head. If you are not listening or if you are not attending, something, there is possibility of distraction. What is that? It is an amazing multi-track movie, right? It has got 3D vision, surround sound, your movie has smell and taste and touch. It has a sense of your body, pain and hunger, and then it has emotions, anger, happiness. It has memories like scenes from your childhood playing before you, right? You just think, right, about your childhood. So all these memories will come, right? You see the images coming up. So this is actually called the inner movie. Okay, what is this inner movie? So this is actually the movie is actually your stream of consciousness, the subject of experience of the mind and the world, right? Now, here, consciousness is one of the fundamental facts of human existence. Each of us conscious, right? So you have your own inner movie, you, everybody. So that is actually played inside, right? So at least I know that about my consciousness directly. I cannot be certain that you guys are conscious, right? So now the question here is, it is most mysterious phenomena in the universe. So why are you conscious? Why are we conscious, right? And why do have these inner movies? See, if you think like that, and if you believe God, why the God has created human beings like this? Why are not we just robots who process all the input, produce the corresponding output without experiencing the inner movie at all? We can be just robot, no? So why you have the consciousness that actually differentiate you and a machine or a robot? So right now nobody knows the answers to these questions. So I have few slides to follow. Try to explore, right? I actually assumed it will be interesting. So what is happening inside you, right? So science by nature is subjective. Consciousness by nature is subjective. What is actually objective and subjective? Objective means science is subjective because suppose you are doing an experiment on Ohm's law, right? You have a voltage source, a resistance. You try to measure the current and prove that V is equal to I into R. Okay, right? If your friend comes to do the same experiment, and your friend will also get the same result. That is why science by nature is objective, but consciousness by nature is subjective. What is subjective experience? If we go to a movie, okay, and then after seeing the movie, if we come out, somebody asks, "How's the movie?" So immediately you say that, okay, the story is very good, and the choreography is good, the direction is good, something like that. If the same question is asked your friend, he may say that no, it's hopeless, right? I don't like that movie at all. So it actually differs, right? So it is actually depends upon the subject, subjective. Okay. So consciousness by nature is subjective. So each of us are conscious in a different way. So there can be never be signs of consciousness. So initially, right? There can be never be a signs of consciousness. Okay. So it is not objective in nature. So consciousness, nobody really knows exactly, right? The inexpressible and mysterious inner life of the mind, right? Here, suppose let us assume that the rapid thought and sensation that blossoms. Okay, suppose you see something and you hear something, right? Something blossoms. Okay, uh, it comes out, right? Immediately you feel, immediately you see something, immediately you feel. But where it is coming, have you ever thought of it? Right? Suppose let us assume that you see a loved one after a long absence. Okay, so what type of sensation you get? Okay, from where it is coming, right? The happiness, right? Suppose you see Ilayaraja, right? Ilayaraja picture is there, right? So when you see him, suppose immediately, right, you remember about a song, right? Immediately that comes into your mind. Okay. Suppose I see him now, always I remember a particular song. Similarly, each of you will remember one particular song whenever you see Ilayaraja. See, he is Ilayaraja, that everybody says, right? When I actually see him, these songs come to my mind. Let us hear for some time. mind when I say Ilayaraja. So suppose you remember something, a song, right? When you see his picture, just type it in your chat box. Let me check it later on. Okay. So now, suppose somebody says that I had an incredible meal, something like that. So immediately, something comes to your mind, something like this. Okay, a lunch, tiffin, something like that. So all these things are happening, and we are not able to explain how this happens, from where it is coming. Okay, so this is actually your consciousness, right? Now, so can't say for sure whether it is an invisible phenomenon, a kind of substance different from matter. Okay, how are where in the brain, because we know the brain, we are going to see few slides on brain also, right? How and where in the brain? Does it require specialized brain cells or neurons, or some sort of special circuit arrangement in them? Nobody knows. Still nobody has found out. They are giving only theories only. They are not able to find out, because it's a very mysterious how this is happening. We do not know, right? So there are few people who define the singularity. So the technological singularity, I just read this, a definition, hypothetical point in time at which the technological growth becomes uncontrollable and irreversible, resulting in unforeseeable changes to human civilization. So what is the meaning of this? Simply speaking, there will be a time will arrive when the machine intelligence overtakes the human intelligence. What will happen? So that point is called singularity. So a lot of people are talking about this, so many forums, so many discussions and so on, right? So singularity, just you can try to Google it later on, right? So the singularity crowd says that within a few decades of building a computer, right? At that time they said, that can experience the color red, savor the smell of a rose, feel pain and pleasure, and fall in love. It may be a robot with a body, or it may be just a software. So these are the definitions that they gave. Right? What will happen if machine intelligence exceeds the human intelligence? Right? So whether consciousness will ever be artificially created? This is $1 million question, right? So some people think that it is possible. That is why they are funding the amount like anything. As I said to you in the beginning, Microsoft recently they have granted $1 billion for this research. They are approaching. See, as we go further, you'll see that we are slowly approaching. Okay, the artificial intelligence and machine learning and deep learning and so on. Okay, so now you see here, the consciousness is a part of the natural world, because we are living in the world and you have the consciousness. Okay. So it is there in the natural world. So it depends only on mathematics, basic laws of physics, chemistry, and biology. So it doesn't require some magical or other worldly quality, because sometimes people wanted to define consciousness, right? And they want to explore, they want to try to find the origin of the consciousness. So they were not able to do it. Suddenly, what they said, consciousness, then they connected to spiritual. Okay, it is some kind of spiritual feeling, something like that. Even some people said that it is like a circle above your head, because normally you might have seen the saints, right? They show like this, right? A circle at the top. See, everybody has got a circle above, halo, right? Right? When you move, that also comes along with you. Only when you die, it will go off. Okay. So, because these people, the spiritual people, are not able to explain, to attach the spirituality to it, right? So, why conscious cannot be reproduced in a machine? This is actually our topic of discussion, right? I'm going to discuss why consciousness cannot be reproduced in a machine, in a theory at least. So during the discussion, we'll try to explore and try to find it out what are things happening around the world, right? And the rise of artificial intelligence. So what are things that are happening, right, during this process? Ultimately, at one point, they reach at one point where they will make the machines to think. Okay. Um, Here, say you see so many hands, they are all united but still separate. Okay. See, this is the picture I got it from a Facebook post. You see here, so many hands are there, right? They are all united. It looks as a single thing, but they are separate. This you can just see this resembles a human brain. Okay, human brain like this. You see
This
here.
is the right hemisphere of a human brain, one of hundreds of brains donated for medical research in the UK every year to one of 10 brain banks. Now, I'll pick it up. Intact, the human brain weighs around 3 pounds or 1.5 kilos. It makes up just 2% of the body's weight and yet consumes 20% of the body's energy. Contains 100 billion nerve cells or neurons. Each neuron has 10,000 connections, making a brain network of 1,000 trillion connections. Now, that's more complex than any supercomputer. And yet the brain has an electrical output of just 20 watts, enough to power a very dim light bulb. You can see just how delicate and fragile it is. Just point out a couple of features. This is the frontal lobe, the command and control center of the brain, while this projection down here is the temporal lobe, involved in language, emotion, and memory. The brain is a masterpiece of evolution biology. And yet, despite all our scientific knowledge, there's still a huge amount we don't know about how the brain works, or why it sometimes goes wrong.
So, what he says that the brain, the function of brain, still the people not completely understood. So here I have shown a 3D. This is rotated. You see the different parts of the brain. I'll quickly go through the slides. Okay. So on this side, because you see the actual brain uh, folded, because it is actually compressed and placed in a small area under the skull. So that is why you see a lot of wrinkles there, wormy-like structure. This side is anterior, superior, and posterior. And there are valleys and okay. So Do you hear me now?
Yes, sir.
I don't know what happened. The internet connection is there. Suddenly it went off. Uh, okay. Uh, so I have to present once again. No.
Yes, sir.
Is this the slide I was discussing?
Yes, sir.
Okay. So let me continue from here. So luckily you have informed me. Otherwise, I would have talked on my own. Okay. Right now, you see my slide?
Yes, sir.
Okay. Um, so this is a brainstem, right? So the entire cerebrum responsible for consciousness, right? Entire cerebrum. So all these things put together. See, let me go through this quickly. And the cerebral hemisphere, okay, just suppose you pull down and pull up this frontal lobe and temporal lobe, there is something inside. So this was actually found after some time because this is actually concealed inside. Later on only they found out. This is actually called the insula, very important part of the human brain, a small part of the brain and profound effects, right? So damage to the insula can lead to apathy, right? Loss of libido. Libido means sexual desire, and inability to tell fresh food from rotten and so on. So this is truly related to the human emotion, right? And suppose you cut this brain and it just get the cross section, people always say the gray matter and the white matter. Okay, the gray matter is a darker tissue of the brain consisting of the nerve cell, the neuron cell body, and the branching dendrites. I'll show the slide later on. And the paler tissue, the white matter, consisting of the nerve fiber, axon, okay, and the myelin sheaths. Myelin sheath, nothing but the conductor, right? The shield on a wire, conductive cable, something like that, right? Insulating cable. Okay, this is the actual view of brain showing the gray matter and the white matter. Okay. And the two hemispheres, right and left, they are connected by something called the corpus callosum. Right? There are 200 million axons, nerve fibers, connecting this in order to have a communication between the two sides. Okay. So what I'm showing here is the important part of a brain. It's called the midbrain, pons, and medulla oblongata. And medulla oblongata, most of you will be familiar. You might have seen this in Vijay Sethupathi movie Nadul Konjam Pakkathai Kaanum, right? Where this Vijay Sethupathi was hit by a ball in this area, medulla oblongata. Okay, and the midbrain, you see here, midbrain. There are two humps here. This is called the cerebral peduncles. Okay, and then on the other side, right? On the other side, you see corpora quadra gemini, because all these things are Latin. Okay, so that is why it's different. Corpora quadra gemini. Okay, so the midbrain cerebral peduncles, the shown here, two humps here. The link remainder of the brain stem, we are going to see what is the thalamus and the cerebrum. Okay, contains large tracts of neuron. Okay, and then the midbrain, you have this here. The entire portion is called the corpora quadra gemina. So this is called the inferior colliculi and superior colliculi. What is the colliculi? It's a Latin. It's called the hill, upper hill and lower hill, something like that. Okay, superior colliculi and inferior colliculi. See, what is actually important, you must know that these are all acting like a reflex integrators. So superior colliculi receives information from the eyes. Inferior colliculi receives the information from the ears. So what is actually the thing, right? See, for all the actions, right, the brain acts as a central nervous system, right? For all the action, it only gives a command. Sometimes what happens, some actions are happening without the involvement of the brain, right? So suppose let us assume that you are sitting and doing something, and suddenly from the ceiling, a spider comes down on a single web, right? It comes in front of your face, right? So it cannot wait that eye sees that it has to send the signal information to the brain, and the brain actually prepares the command and send back something like that. So what happens? The superior calculi, whenever you see that, immediately what happens? No, you take something, right? Any book or something, and splashes onto the spider. So this is actually happening instantaneously. That is taken care of the superior calculi, right? Without the involvement of the brain. The inferior calculi receives information from the ear. Suppose suddenly you actually hear a thunder, immediately you close your ears. That happens, that reflex is happening due to the inferior calculi, right? So very important, these two things, right? And medulla oblongata, as I told you, oblongata, you see here, right? Very, very important. So that is why the movie, they have indicated this. It carries out, regulates life-sustaining functions, the breathing, swallowing, heart rate, everything. Okay, and it functions are involuntary. Okay, doesn't wait for the brain. Okay, so essentially keeps you alive. Persons known to lose all of their upper brain parts maintain an intact medulla oblongata and survive. So you can lose everything, the upper brain. If you have the brain stem intact, okay, with the medulla oblongata, pons and midbrain, you will survive. So that is one example, interesting example, I'll tell you. So this is called Mike the Headless Chicken. And the left side, you see the chicken. It's actually standing without the head. The head is actually there, the side of its leg. Okay. So this Mike Headless Chicken is very famous. Miracle Mike was a chicken that lived for 18 months after its head cut out. Because the owner, right, when he actually received the custody, he wanted to cook chicken, right? Then he took an axe, and then first he actually axed the head. Okay, the angle of the axe allowed the cerebellum and the brain stem to remain in the neck. To his astonishment, he saw that the chicken was actually running around without the head. So that gives an idea. If the brain stem is intact with the cerebellum and other things, right, you can survive for some time. So this actually lived for 18 months. And you may be wondering how they fed the food. They took some kind of ink filler and fed through the hole that you see and happen at the head. Okay, so that is actually the idea. Okay, then the pons. Here, this is actually called the pons. Okay, they connects upper and lower parts of the brain, so in between. So this pons acts like a message station between several areas of the brain. So it helps the messages between the cortex here to the cerebellum. That is a message exchange. So without the pons, the brain would not be able to function because the message will not flow through, right? So it plays a key role in sleeping and dreaming also. A REM sleep. Most of the time we have the REM sleep. What is REM sleep? Right? Rapid eye movement. Right? You just close your eye, there will be rapid movement in the eye when you are sleeping. This is one type of sleep. So this is happening due to pons and the dreaming also. Okay. So, therapy books. Hello, sir. Sir. சார் சொல்லுங்க சார். சொல்லுங்க சார். கேக்கு சார். இப்போ அந்த அவங்க STTPல உட்காந்து ப்ரெசென்ட் பண்ணிட்டு இருக்காங்க சார். Okay, I will call you later, sir. Thank you. No problem. Okay. Sorry, I had a call from principal. Okay, so now we are actually coming to an important part. You see a two oval-shaped thing. It's called thalami. right? Thalamus or Ptolemy, because the two things put together. Okay, and you see the center. This is actually called the thalamus, right? It actually happens to be the center of the human brain, and it actually receives all the sensory information. The fibers are coming here, right? So many signals, right? And it actually collects this and sends to the particular places on the cortex, and it also receives the signal from here also. So the thalamus, always known as the relay station, the switchboard. Those who are studying computer architecture teaching, it's called the router. This is the router of a human brain. Okay, central portion. So initially they thought it's a gateway to consciousness. It plays a small role on consciousness processing, conscious processing or consciousness. Okay, right? So thalamus is responsible for relaying information from the sensory receptor to the proper areas of the brain, as I told you. Okay, so thalamus acts like a doctor, diagnoses, identifies the patient disease or sickness. It gets a signal from the various sensory, like auditory, visual, tactile, the movement, or gustatory, means the taste and so on. So it directs the sensory information to different parts of the lobes of the cortex. And the two glands are very important, you must understand. This is actually called the pineal gland. Okay, I'm sorry. So this small portion very plays an important role. Pineal gland, say it generates melatonin associated with the light and dark cycle. And those who are listening to me, please follow this. This hormone is very important because our human body is called the biological clock. Okay, so as the evening approaches and gets darker, right? And when you see the darkness, this information goes to the pineal gland. So the pineal gland understand that, okay, it becomes dark. So this particular person has to go to sleep. So it will create a lot of melatonin and immediately you get sleep. Just close your ear, you get sleep after a few minutes, right? So the fibers are directly from light. That is why, right, you tell your students after 9 o'clock, they are not supposed to see the cell phones. So that is like they'll keeping very close to the eye. Okay. So that will spoil the biological clock. So melatonin will not be generated. Okay. So the pineal gland will be actually got confused. Okay. Whether it's a dark or light, something like that. So you please tell the students, avoid using cell phones and seeing large screens. Okay. Right. Hypothalamus, it has got a large number of small nuclei, right? And it regulates your autonomic nervous system, endocrine system responsible for creating various hormones. It controls the glands, right? And the body temperature, emotional behavior, food to water intake, and so on. Then there's another gland which is called the pituitary gland. That is actually extending from the hypothalamus. Okay, hypothalamus. So this is the critical gland for homeostasis, right? To balance your body temperature, your glucose level in your blood, something like that. Maintains the body status quo. Very important gland, right? And lastly, this is the limbic system, which is responsible for emotion, okay, behavior and memory. And this is very important. Hippocampus. Please actually take note of it. We will actually discussing later on in our slide. Hippocampus. Okay. So this is actually the emotional nervous system consisting of the hypothalamus, thalamus, and hippocampus and amygdala. All these things put together, it is called the emotional nervous system. Say very simply, you can remember what is there in the limbic system. You can just remember a character hippo, okay, wearing a hat. Hippo wearing a hat. So hippo means hippocampus, hat means H means hypothalamus, A means amygdala, and T is thalamus. So these things put together, it is called the limbic system. Okay, this is one very important, which actually considers our emotional behavior. You see here, And we have already seen this. Thalamus is a relay station, router. Hypothalamus, it regulates your autonomic nervous system. Autonomic nervous system. Okay. And this hypothalamus, okay, you remember that, hippocampus is mainly used for the short-term memory. So whenever you see something, you remember, it will be there for some time. Okay. And after some time, if you feel that you have to remember further and store it, then it is transferred from here to the long-term memory. So hippocampus is very much necessary for human. And this amygdala, okay, amygdala, actually, if it is actually triggered, right, you get anger, violence, fear, anxiety, and so on, right? So the people who takes a drug or liquor, so this will be activated. That is why they get violent, right? And suppose some mistake, there is some damage here in amygdala, so it becomes mellow. This is called the clever Busey effect, right? The human becomes hyperoperability, hypersexuality, disabled, and so on. Okay, disintegrated. So this is our hero of the brain. Okay, this is the nerve cell. Okay, the cell body, which is called the nucleus, integrating incoming signals and generates outgoing signal, and generates it actually collects the signals here inside, and then when there is some process, some potential is created, then it actually goes through this. It's called the axon, and this axon end, right? Sorry. So dendrites collects electrical signals, and cell body integrates incoming signal and generates a outgoing signal to axon. Axon passes the electrical signal to the dendrites of another cell. Okay. So this a comic way of representing is it's a cell body neuron. Okay, it gets the signals input. This is a one-way transmission, and it is traveled here axon, and then received by another cell. So processing, messaging. Okay. So this is a structure. The cell body is called the soma. This is called the myelin sheath, right? On above the axon, there is an insulating layer. And this is called the synapse, right? It's not directly, there is a space here. This particular site is responsible for when there is an action potential created by this cell body, it travels here, and then it goes here, and nerve impulses will be transmitted here. I don't want to go into further, right? So this is a simple thing. I told you in the beginning, we have got 100 billion neurons. That is 100 followed by 9 zeros, right? So 100 billion means 10,000 crores. And the longest axon, because you see each neuron will have a cell body and then dendrites and axon. The longest axon is the human motor neuron that can be over 3 feet long, reaching the base of the spine to the toes, right? All these things are controlled by the neural cells, and it's actually plastic. And this phenomena is actually still confusing, right? And the length of the axon is not actually stable. It is actually changing. It's elastic nature, right? So sensory neurons have axons that run from toes to the dorsal column. The giraffe is having a single axon several meters in length. Okay. So this is simple, interesting calculations. See, we are not actually hearing what is happening inside your head. So the neurons, several neurons, they're all interconnected. Okay, so a lot of actions of taking place. See, when you are listening to my lecture, there is something happening inside your head. Some new networks will be formed, neural networks will be formed, and the signals will be traveling, right, at the rate of 320 kilometers per hour. The fastest speed of F1 car is 372 kilometers per hour. So, if there is a chance to go inside and see, there will be noisy, right, because of the signal travel. Okay. So the human brain has got huge number of synapses. Each of the 10 power 11 or 100 billion neurons, an average of 7,000 synaptic. So average 3-year-old child has got 10 power 15 synapses. Huge. You just see at the top. Very huge. Very complex connection. So the neuron dance, I will skip it because it takes some time. So in humans and animals, any conscious experience, whether it's human or animal, right? It may be a deep blue in the sky or the fragrance of jasmine, right? It is furnished by the parts of cerebral cortex. So now you know what is cerebrum, right? The cerebral cortex, cerebrum, right? The outer layer of the gray matter associated with the thought, action, and other higher brain functions. That is the frontal lobe. So that is why I actually showed you those slides in the beginning. Okay. Now suppose a sector of the cortex destroyed by stroke. It happens, right? So the person will no longer be conscious of whatever aspects of the world. So you will be unconscious. So a person whose visual cortex is partially damaged, because you have the visual cortex here, that is directly connected to the eyeballs. The nerves are coming here and connected here. Suppose there is some damage here, right? So you may be unable to recognize the faces, even though you can still, suppose you can still see my eyes, mouth, ears, and other discrete facial features, but you cannot recognize me. So that is a problem. Very troublesome disease here, right? So lesions in the cortical white matter, because we saw what is a gray matter and the white matter. Okay. So that will also cause unconsciousness. Okay. A small lesion, the deep within the brain, along the midline of thalamus and the midbrain, right? It will cause a lack of consciousness. Okay. So I quickly go through that because it's some of the medical things, right? Okay. Right. So much, see, the important point comes, please listen to this. Much of what goes on in the brain has nothing to do with the being conscious. Right? Widespread damage to the cerebellum, which is actually at the back of your head, 3/4 of neuron, has no effect of consciousness. Okay. The neural activity plays some essential role of consciousness, but itself cannot be enough to sustain consciousness. A deep sleep, consciousness fades, right? So now we have come to a topic. What is a consciousness? So this is a question in the mind of all the researchers and scientists. They want to do something on this, right? Conscious machine. To build a conscious machine is still a very long way to go. So let us actually have the first step in the, already they have made a first step in the long journey, right? Some aspects of consciousness that are not strictly necessary for building such an artifact. Consciousness does not seem to require many of the things we associate most deeply with being human. Can you hear me? Can you hear me? Some problem.
Yes, sir.
Yes. Because I heard some sound, that's why. Okay. Right. So please follow this slide, very important slide. Okay. I will read the last line. Consciousness does not seem to require many of the things we associate most deeply with being human. Because suppose somebody asks you whether a conscious machine can be built, which actually mimic a human, something like that. But immediately you say, see, for consciousness, for a human, we require all these things. So these things, whether they have to be incorporated in the machine. Okay, so people analyzed this and arrived at a solution. You see here, emotions, memory, self-reflection, language, sensing the world and acting in it, right? So far we have been thinking that these are all important things associated with the human being. Suppose you want to have a robot, right, to be conscious, then you may think that all these things should be incorporated. It is not like that. Even without all these things, we can be conscious. So then why not we build a machine without these characteristics? So this is actually the idea. So please try to follow the following slides carefully. Okay. Sensory input and motor output. Being conscious requires neither. So you may be wondering how. So humans are generally aware what goes on around us. So occasionally what goes on within our body also. But consciousness is linked to our interaction with the world and with ourselves. This is our belief, right? Now you see here, when we dream, you virtually disconnected from the environment. Acknowledge almost nothing what happens around us. Our muscles are largely paralyzed, right? Then the mental activity, the electrical recordings on the corticothalamic system, what really happened, continues to function more or less as it does in wakefulness. Even if you are sleeping, even if muscles are relaxing, the brain is still working. There is always some kind of signals going through, right? So there are two important things. People who have lost their eyesight can both imagine and dream in images. You can ask me how it is possible, provided they had sight earlier in their lives. So they lost the sight now only, but previously they had it, but all these things are stored there inside. So they can dream images. Sorry. Patients with locked-in syndrome, they are completely paralyzed, right? But they are just as conscious as healthy subjects. Right? You see this man, right? His actual name is Jean Dominic. Following a debilitating stroke, the French editor, right? He directed his biography, The Driving Bell of the Butterfly, very famous book, by just blinking his left eye. He was conscious, right? So he doesn't require all other sensory, right? Just like a Morse code, he was actually blinking his left eye. Then his biography was prepared. And this man, very famous, well-renowned physicist, immobilized from degenerative neurological disorder. He wrote this book, A Brief History of Time, talk through computer through speech generating device. Okay, all right. So the consciousness depends on brain activity. It doesn't require any interaction with the environment. So we are reaching a conclusion. It requires only the brain activity. It doesn't require any interaction with the environment. So the development of consciousness requires such interactions in the early childhood. Okay. So what is the inference? Sensory input and motor output, being conscious requires neither. So this is a very important conclusion when you try to actually build a robot with a consciousness. Okay. So this is the first point. Then the emotions. Being conscious does not require emotion. Right? So a robot need not have emotions, right? So people who have suffered damage to the frontal area of the brain, just recollect what you have discussed in the few slides, still experience the sights and sounds of the world much way normal people do. Okay. So primal emotions like anger, fear, surprise, and joy are useful for the survival of a conscious organism, any organism, right? Whether it's a human being or animal. And conscious machine also might rely on emotions. But the conclusion is it could be just a cold calculating engine and yet still be conscious. Okay, it doesn't require emotion. Okay. So selective attention. Selective attention definition is the process of directing our awareness to relevant stimuli by ignoring the irrelevant stimuli in the environment. Most of the times we do this, right? Suppose you are attentive to something, you just declare, but you know that something is happening, but you are not attentive to that. So selective attention, the psychologists argue that consciousness requires selective attention, the ability to focus on a given object, a thought or activity. And sometimes some people argue consciousness is a selective attention. But when you pay attention to something, you become conscious of that thing and its property. If your attention shifts, the object fades away from the consciousness. That is natural. Okay. Now, you see this video carefully, you adjust your volume. I'm going to show you a movie to justify the previous statement. It's an awareness test. You just find out there is a ball passing game. Just to find out how many times the person's wearing a white shirt, right, pass the ball. Carefully, you attend to that. Okay, shall I play this? Yes.
This is an awareness test. How many passes does the team in white make? Go!
So
the answer is 13. But did you see the moonwalking bear? Go!
So it is easy to miss something you are not looking for. Okay, right? How many of you seen that the man wearing a bear dress? Right? You can give me in the chat box, right? Right. So a person can consciously perceive an event or object without paying attention to it. Okay. So when you are focused on a movie, you might not hear the phone ringing, your mom calling your name, but you remain aware certain aspects of the world around you. It's going on. So the converse is also true. Okay. So the brain can preferentially process the things without consciously perceiving them. Okay. So being conscious doesn't require attention. Our second conclusion. So being conscious doesn't require attention. Okay. What about the memory? So what of memory? Most of you remember, okay, the first day at college, the images of the crumbling twin towers on 9/11. So when I read this, immediately that image may come to you, okay, the crumbling towers and first day at our college, okay. So this is called the episodic memory, an integral part of the consciousness, okay. Now, but the clinic tells otherwise. Being conscious doesn't require either explicit or working memory. Not necessary, they say. But I am going to actually show you a slide on Henry Molaison, right? Famously called as HM. 1953, right? The epileptic man known to the public only as HM. Most of his hippocampus and the neighboring regions on both sides of the brain surgically removed as an experimental treatment for his condition. He had some disease. So the doctor decided to remove his hippocampus and neighboring regions. And you know that hippocampus for the short-term memory, right? So when it was done, you could not acquire any new long-term memories. Not of the nurses, doctors who treated him, his room at the hospital, or any unfamiliar well-wishers who dropped by. Okay, and he could recall only the event that happened before the surgery. That will be there in the long-term memory. So same thing which you experienced when you saw this movie, right? Gajini Surya, the same thing he had, some problem occurred, right? So he was called as HM, the man with no memory. Henry Molaison taught us about memory. by losing. Even if he could not remember the events from one day to the next, he was without conscious. He was conscious. Okay, so this is actually HM's memory in normal brain. You just see below the part of the hippocampus and the nearby regions are removed, and you just compare with the normal brain here, this brain and this brain, right? Okay, and then so he was actually famous because a lot of doctors study his brain and came to a lot of conclusions. The most famous neuroscience person, he was called, of the modern era, died of respiratory failure on December 2008. After his death, HM's brain uploaded to the cloud. It's still available. I actually saw the data because what they did is they had a mechanism to remove or get the slices of his brain. Okay, and the data is actually stored. The images are there. So if you want to do some research, you can get it from the cloud. Still they preserve. Okay, so working memory to perform any number of daily active, to dial a phone number you've just looked up. Okay, measure out of the correct amount of sugar for some recipe, right? So dynamic, it lasts only as long as the neuron circuits remain active. So, but as with the long-term memory, you don't need working memory to be conscious. This is our third conclusion. Okay. So what is self-reflection? Self-reflection helps to build emotional self-awareness. Okay, self-reflection deeply linked to consciousness. To assess consciousness, the psychologists and other scientists often rely on verbal reports. They show a picture and say, after some time, they remove the picture and see what did you see. So you have to collect it because it goes to the brain, the image. So you have to look inside and recall what are the things that you have viewed. Suppose you see the picture for some time, right? Then I remove this and ask you what did you see. So it depends upon how you actually perceive the data, right? This is some kind of test the psychologists do. Okay. So when you become absorbed in some internet perceptual task, like playing a fast-paced video game, riding on a motorcycle, moving traffic, running along a mountain trail, right? We are vividly conscious of external world without need of reflection or introspection. Even I have experienced it, right? So when I was driving to our college, I may be driving in the what you call the national road, right? I may be because I will be something less, but automatically, right? I know that I am driving. Okay, I'm conscious. Okay, at the same time, I may actually think some other thing, right? Okay, so neuroimaging studies said that even patients with widespread injury to the front of the brain appears to have nearly intact perceptual abilities. So the thing is, being conscious doesn't require self-reflection. The language. Okay. Do you require a language? Want a robot to be conscious, right? And we humans affirm our consciousness through speech only, right? So we discuss, we use a language and discuss, describing or discussing our experience with one another, we use language. So it is natural to think that the speech and consciousness are linked naturally. Okay, but they are not because many patients who lost the ability to use words yet remain conscious. The infants, monkeys, dogs, mice cannot speak, but they are conscious. They are conscious. I'm going to show you a video. You'll be surprised to see that a cat or it's conscious, right? But it cannot speak. You see here. Just watch the movie. See, it waits for some time for the owner to arrive. It's conscious. After some time, it knows that they have not come. Once again, it goes and taps. So it's conscious. but it doesn't have any language, but it's conscious, right? So being conscious doesn't require a language. Okay, so what about a machine now? Now we have come to the topic, at least, right? Maybe 1 hour, I think I took to come to the topic. What about the machine? Okay, so a machine does not require anything to be conscious that you or me don't won't require. That is the argument, right? So doesn't need to engage with the environment. Okay, does not need long-term memory or working memory, does not require attention, self-reflection, language, or emotion. Okay, all these things are necessary. So suppose you are believing that, so these are the things a human being require, and you should not think that a machine also should require to be conscious. It's not like that. Okay. So what is necessary? What are the essential properties of consciousness? Now we are actually coming to an important point. The amount of integrated information that an organism or machine can generate. So when you see something, right, you are not just seeing that scene. Along with that, you have so many things coming into your mind. That is a integrated information. If you see a tree, if you see a tree at our college, suppose you a tree, you're not just seeing a tree. So immediately you see the tree, and also, right, the people who are standing there yesterday morning near the tree, and you are talking, and somebody went there, some vehicle crossed. All these things will come. This is called the integrated information. So if you are able to produce, the machine also should actually generate. Then it will become conscious. Right? Now, all of you please look at the screen. Right? It's a blank screen, which is alternately off and on. On the left side, it's dark. It's blank, you can say. On the right side, it's bright, on. So off, on, off, on. Simply imagine. It is actually changing like that. Off, on, off, on, off, on. Okay? Now we are going to arrive at a very, very, very important thing, right? Just see. Now, all of you know that this is a diode, photodiode. So one of the very simplest machine we have come across. Let us assume that we have a circuit so that this photodiode is set to beep when the screen emits light. Whenever the screen is bright, it emits a beep. Whenever it becomes dark, it won't do anything. Okay, so the machine is able to understand, right? A simple machine is able to understand whether it's a dark or white. Okay, now, so both you and the photodiode can differentiate between the screen being on or off. So you can see light or dark. So the photodiode does not consciously see anything. It merely responds to photons. Right? When there is a light, there is a photons and produces a current that actually makes it beep. Okay? So it consciously, but you consciously see it's a light or dark. That is the difference between you and the photodiode. You follow this? So what is the key difference? How much information is generated when the differentiation between light and dark is made? Okay. What is meant by information? As a communication engineers, you know, it's a reduction of uncertainty that occurs when one among many possible outcomes is chosen. That is called information. Okay. Now we see here, when the screen turns dark, the photodiode enters one of two possible dates. Okay. A state, one bit of information. Okay. It is actually 0 or 1, something like that. 0 or 1. A state. Okay. So when you see the screen turn dark, you enter into one out of huge number of states. So when it becomes dark, right? When it becomes dark, you are not seeing anything, right? Seeing a dark screen means, right? Immediately some integrated information comes out, right? You're not seeing, right, a blue, red, or green screen also. The statue of Tiruvallur, a picture of a sister dance arangetam, any other unaccountable things that you ever seen, could ever see. It will come out. Okay, it's information that is flowing out. You simply be not quite that it is dark. Okay, but something emerges, some information, uncountable things. Okay, that is the difference between you and the photodiode. So to you, the dark means not just opposite of light, but also simultaneously something different from colors, shapes, sounds, smells, or any mixture of the above. So you rule out not just light, but countless other possibilities. That imagine, that comes. No other go. You cannot actually stop it. There's no way stopping it. Okay. Right? So to extend this discussion further, you consider an idealized 1 megapixel digital camera, which we are all familiar. Okay. So this camera, 1 megapixel camera, right? We have got the image, number of different patterns it can produce is 2 per 1 followed by 6 zeros. Each photodiode, right, in the image. So this 1 megapixel picture, you will have so many number of diodes, so the information will be getting. So the camera could easily enter into different state every frame, right? If even few diodes gets a dark signal, the frame will be different. So it's a staggering amount of information, but yet the camera is obviously not conscious. It's not conscious, right? So consciousness does not seem to require many of the things to be associated with being human. Okay, very important. That's why I've actually shown red letters. Difference between you and the camera is a integrated information. Okay, the camera can indeed be any one of the absurdly large number of different states. 1 megapixel sensor chip is not a single integrated system, but rather collection of 1 million individual photodiodes. It's not an integrated system. If you look closer, you'll be having 1 million photodiodes. A million photodiodes are collectively no smarter than one photodiode. It's not smarter. It's only a collection. But you don't give you integrated information. Right? So, the types of states available to you cannot be subdivided. So, when you consciously see certain image, you experience the image as an integrated whole. Okay. You cannot actually divide into small thumbprint images. You get a complete picture. You cannot experience its color independent of the shapes. All are merged, integrated. So a multitude casual interactions among the relevant parts of your brain. To be conscious, you need to be a single integrated entity with a large types of states. Okay. So your level of consciousness has to do with how much integrated information you can generate. That's called the level of consciousness. So that is why you have a higher level of consciousness than a frog or a supercomputer. Right? So you are able to produce integrated information. Just close your eyes and see. Okay. If you close your eyes, you are not seeing me. But definitely there will be something you'll be seeing. Right? You cannot actually reject it. Okay. Just close your eyes. You see some other thing. Okay. It is not dark. Okay. So a breakthrough, because so far up to this point, so many theories, right? So many work by the researchers, neuroscientists, they work together and try to find out the correct location of in the brain where the integrated information is produced. Okay, when you see something, immediately you see some integrated information, not only that object, connected with that lot of information is flowing out. But where? So individually, you know, that is a function of the thalamus, function of the hypothalamus, right? Function of pons, function of midbrains, right? Function of middle of the all these things, right? But we do not know the part of even the people. We do not know the part of the human brain. At which point the integrated information is there. collecting all the information around and give it out. So a breakthrough has happened. So I was just browsing because internet is the best resource. I tried to actually go through a lot of white papers and forums and try to find out the work done by the neuroscientist. And accidentally, I saw that they have found out at Harvard University, yeah, a team of researchers at Harvard have been examining the consciousness in the human brain. So much funds they have allotted. They are working seriously on the Harvard scientists think they might have pinpointed the source of human consciousness. They have found out. What is that? For the first time, the connection between the brainstem. You know what is the brainstem region? The brainstem region, the region where it actually involves arousal and awareness. These are the two prerequisites of consciousness. To be consciousness, you have to be aware and arousal. So these are the prerequisites of consciousness. They found out a region in the brainstem that's actually called the rostral dorsolateral point in tegmentum. I think I'm reading it properly. This is a Latin name. This is the region in the brainstem. This actually connected two other regions in the cortex. That triangle forms, right, the emergence of the consciousness. They have found out. Right? So how they have found out? See, there is no test to find it out because they actually find out only for the patients. Right? When the patients come with a lot of complications, they try to remove some parts of the brain, right, for the benefit of the patient, and then try to actually do some experiment on that. So they studied the brain map of the healthy brain, where they were able to pinpoint two cortex regions. That is the ventral anterior insula. Insula, you remember, I showed you in the second or third slide. Insula, very important. And pregenal anterior cingulate cortex. These are the two regions in the cortex that is actually connected to the region in the brainstem, rostral dorsolateral point in tegmentum. Okay, so these three regions. So if some of you are really interested, try to Google and find it out. You will get a lot of explanations on that. So they led to them to conclude that connections between these areas and the identified region of the brainstem likely to play, see, even they are very careful, likely to play a role of regulating consciousness. Okay, so it is actually a breakthrough. It's a breakthrough they found out, and other scientists also agreed on that. There are a lot of papers on this. Okay, so uniquely human attributes the carrying on engaging conversation in natural language. What are the attributes of human? Okay, playing strategy games at various times. And the machine also has the capabilities. So sometimes the research is not that the machines which have this capability, then it will be conscious. It's not like that. Okay. So I'm actually closely coming to the rise of AI because I got around maybe it goes up to 3:45. Hello? How much time left for me?
Yes, sir, you can proceed.
Okay, right. So the chatbot allies, it's a chatbot. Okay, now we're all familiar with the chatbots. It was there 20 years back. I've actually played with this. It's a software I have downloaded and then interacted with the allies. And a chess playing supercomputer Deep Blue, which actually bested Gary Kasparov, demonstrated that machines can display human level performance in narrow tasks. I repeat, narrow task. Okay. So innovative chatbots are now available. The chatbots popular due to the advancement of machine learning, other underlying technologies such as natural language processing and so on. But I told you the allies is called the artificial linguistic internet computer entity, right? One of the very first boats to go online 20 years back. You see, interestingly, you can ask, it's a conversational robot, chatbot. You can ask questions, it will answer. You see here, human, do you like Microsoft? Then Alice answers, I want to replace Windows with AI. Okay, that means it doesn't like Microsoft. And human, did you chat with Jabberwacky, another chatbot? No, I didn't chat with the Jabberwacky. Human asked, it is another chatbot. Really, it is? Then the human replies, the news says that you did chat with the Jabber. Don't believe everything that you see on TV. Okay, see, very intelligent, right? This is the way the conversation goes, right? And nowadays we have Google Assistant, an artificial intelligence powered virtual assistant you have in your cell phone. Then the Siri, it's also a virtual assistant with Apple. Then Amazon Alexa, right? With Amazon Echo. I'll quickly go through. This is a chess playing supercomputer Deep Blue. This is IBM Watson question answering computer system. Okay, very powerful. If you ask any question, immediately it actually goes through 200 billion pages of documents in natural language and picks the answer, give it to you. Right? Then Watson Health, IBM Watson Health, it's actually used for medical research. So why I'm saying this? So slowly, the rise of AI, right? And DeepMind. It's a AI startup, DeepMind. It's a computer program who teach itself to play series of video games. So nobody actually teaches it, right? It actually learns by process of trial and error, as a human normally we do. Trial and error, we actually know. Slowly we are approaching the human capability, right? So yet none of this invention displayed evidence of consciousness. Once again, okay, it may be powerful, right? It may be super powerful compared to human abilities, but they are not conscious. So there is no evidence of consciousness. So what then would be the better test for machine consciousness? So consciousness, we have already seen the availability of large collection of states belonging to a single integrated system. Okay. So ask a machine to describe a scene. Human are fantastically good at it. We are very good. Presented with a photo or a painting or a frame, you can easily describe, right? So this is a picture. Okay, so suppose you are asked to describe this. You can see the man, right, with a hands, raising hands like this, and another man showing a gun. Okay, so immediately you see here, you actually come to a conclusion it's a robbery, because there is a man holding a gun and pointing it to another man, maybe a store clock. And if you ask to still elaborate, it is probably a liquid store. Given the bottles on the shelves, it may be in the United States, given the English language newspaper signs, right? So, to test the machine consciously, it has to do the same thing. Okay, now, the machine would have to do as well as any of us to consider to be conscious. Not only the robbery, any scene, but still there's a problem with the machine because of the program. Now, recently, they come out something, right? Building and advances of object recognition, machine translation, neural networks. They converted picture into sentences. Okay. So before using the system, they trained the system with 120,000 already caption images because the training is necessary. The scientists at the University of Toronto has developed a software modeled on brain cell networks. You see here on the top, your woman is throwing a frisbee in a park. This is actually found by the machine. Just looking to the picture, it has identified the woman is throwing a frisbee. So here it identifies the picture and says stop sign is on the road with a mountain in the background. Okay, very good. And this picture, a group of people sitting on a boat in the water. The software correctly identified the boat, the group of people, and the water. And here also a giraffe is standing in the forest with the trees in the background. Okay. Right. Next one. Sometimes it fails because you see this woman is wearing a T-shirt with a logo here. It says a woman holding a clock in her hand. It's not able to identify. And here also, he actually has got something here, but it says a man wearing a hat and hat on the skateboard. So it is very funny here. A woman selling vegetables, the machine software identifies woman is sitting at a table with a large pizza, right? So there's a problem still. See here, the man is actually eating a burger, right? So man is talking on his cell phone while another man watches. So that's still a problem, right? So a lot of things we have to see, long way to go. Okay. So now the rise of AI, and you see here an important development in AI recently. A team of Tel Aviv University, Israel, developed a deep learning based system. They use deep learning model. Very interestingly, it can automatically generate a picture of finished meal for a simple text-based recipe. So you take a sheet of paper, write the recipe, okay, don't give the title, okay, and give it to the system. It's a deep learning model, right? Already it is trained with thousands of food images. So it will go through the text-based recipe and give the finished meal, the picture of the finished meal. Just imagine. And the reverse is also true, reverse cooking. Image to recipe, translation, the deep convolution neural networks. Okay, image to recipe. You give the image of the food, you give the recipe. Right? So this is possible only because of the advancement in the artificial intelligence, deep learning models, and a lot of data available to train these systems. So it is able to do this. And nowadays, the AI plays an important role in healthcare systems. Right? It wants to have a lot of impact on healthcare system. Only because of the availability of high speed and high energy efficient graphic processors. Because an physician can see and learn few thousands of MRI images, but machine learning system can actually see trillions of images, right? And then recently they have developed electronic nose also. Okay, electronic nose, that means it's a nano array thing, which will actually sniff the deceased patient. You know that the breath consisting of various molecules. So these molecules are trapped in the narrow array, and an artificial intelligence system try to see the change in the resistance and try to identify the disease. 70 diseases are accurately diagnosed. So I can go on lot of applications, but AI plays a very important role in healthcare system. Okay, and most of you know about the Google Lens, the image recognition technology developed by Google, and the Google Translate, which can translate 100 language from one language to another, which is also used in the machine translation, machine learning. Okay, and the Google Brain project. It's a very prestigious project. Google actually spending a lot of money on this. It started in 2011. Under 100 of research scientists are working on it. The main aim is to build Google product using artificial intelligence. Okay, already they have developed the what is known as self-driving car using this. So powered by deep learning and neural networks. As I said, 2012, they used 1 billion connections neural network and was trained with 16,000 CPU cores. Okay, now they are thinking about AI platform with 100 million servers, Google. Okay, so it is actually developing, right? And mission algorithms. I'll skip this. But even then, there is some limitation. Uh, this is actually called the roundworm, CNR habitatis elegans. Right? That is the name of this organ. This creature has got a brain only 302 nerve cells. Very, very simple organism compared to 100 billion nerve cells in human brain. So they studied this through the electron microscopy, studied this 6,000 chemical synapses and tried to complete the wiring diagram. But even after 3 decades later, there's still their working model not finished. Very complex, right? Here only we think about the creation of God, right? So human brain has got 100 billion, right? And it is a plastic also. It is impossible to map all these things, right? So simulating that gigantic neural network model, our human brain, very difficult. And developing this model and then try to see how the consciousness emerge with a million parameters involved will not happen in the foreseeable future, they say, right? So what they have done is they have started using this artificial intelligence embedded on mama-like architecture and try to evolve into conscious entity. So to start with, you have mama means cat or dog, something like that, or humanoid, and embed the artificial intelligence and use program this and slowly evolve the conscious entity. Okay. Now you see, you have to see this. This is the most advanced AI robots available in the world. Okay. Very interesting, you see.
Despite taking people's jobs, robots have been proven to be essential in improving efficiency, productivity, and most importantly, worker safety. In this video, we are going to look at the most advanced humanoid, industrial, and service robots that are changing the future with the help of artificial intelligence. Meet Digit. Manufactured by Agility Robotics, Digit is envisioned to help take care of people in their homes, assist with disaster response, and deliver packages to front doors. With its nimble limbs and a torso packed with sensors, Digit can navigate complex environments and carry out tasks such as package delivery. Digit is a direct descendant of Cassie, Agility's first robot. In May 2019, Ford Motor Company and Agility announced a partnership to develop a last-mile logistics solution that combines Ford's autonomous vehicle technology and Agility's Digit. This is Pepper. Manufactured by SoftBank Robotics, Pepper is the world's first social humanoid robot that is able to recognize faces and basic human emotions. Pepper has been adopted by over 2,000 companies around the world. Perfect in retail and finance industries, Pepper has numerous functionalities, including increasing store traffic by attracting the attention of shoppers, creating memorable in-store experiences, stimulating purchase and retain customers. Pepper can also gather comprehensive data to enrich the customer base and generate shopper insights. This is Atlas, the world's most dynamic humanoid robot built by Boston Dynamics, a company that was previously owned by Google and now by SoftBank. Thanks to its state-of-the-art hardware and algorithm that allows it to quickly understand instructions. With its 28 hydraulic joints, 4.9 feet of height, and 176 pounds weight, the robot can perform both impressive and terrifying acts, including navigating uneven terrain, jumping around a parkour course, and doing somersaults. All these activities demonstrate human-level agility, so the robot can be perfect for search and rescue operations and performing human tasks in environments where humans could not survive. Introducing Spot, a robot dog designed for industrial uses, such as carrying goods through a warehouse and inspecting a remote site with an unfavorable environment for human operators. It can run at 5.2 feet per second, has 360-degree cameras, and can operate in temperatures ranging from 4 to 113 degrees Fahrenheit. With its API and flexible payload interface, the robot can be easily customized for desired tasks. Spot is also manufactured by Boston Dynamics and is now being leased to eligible companies. Meet HRP-5P, an advanced humanoid robot designed to operate autonomously and carry out heavy labor in hazardous conditions. This robot was created by AICTE, Japan's National Institute of Advanced Industrial Science and Technology, as a response to the country's labor shortage due to its aging population and declining birth rate. It is equipped with environmental sensors and object recognition, full body motion planning and control, and task description and execution management. HRP-5P is based on more than 20 years of humanoid research at AICTE. In those 20 years, the Institute has created 4 other robots, which are the predecessor of HRP-5P. Introducing Serena 4, the 4th generation of Serena humanoid robot series developed by the University of Tehran in Iran. With a height of 5.6 feet and a weight of 154 pounds, this robot is able to walk at a speed of 0.43 miles per hour. Serena 4 has improved interaction with the environment. It can track objects more accurately compared to its predecessors. Its new hands give it better dexterity. With these enhancements, the robot can manipulate a wide variety of objects, including delicate ones, as well as operating power tools. Introducing Aquanaut, an advanced unmanned underwater transformer that can transform itself from a nimble long-distance submarine into a half-humanoid robot capable of carrying out complex underwater manipulation tasks. Designed by Houston Mechatronics Inc., Aquanaut can inspect subsea oil and gas infrastructure, operate valves, and use tools. Operating completely untethered and without support ships, Aquanaut can travel more than 124 miles in submarine mode, has a max speed of 7 knots, and a maximum operational depth of 984 feet. This is a Stuntronic robot, an animatronic stunt double designed to entertain the crowds at Disney parks. It combines advanced robotic technology with the exploration of untethered dynamic movement to precisely perform aerial flips, twists, and poses. With its onboard sophisticated sensors, it can make its own real-time decisions, all while flying 60 feet in the air. It knows when to tuck its knees to perform a somersault, when to pull its arms to twist, and even when to slow down its spin to make sure it makes a perfect landing. This robot is called Handle, another robot from Boston Dynamics. With its deep learning vision software, this robot can autonomously identify and locate boxes, unload trucks, palletize and depalletize them. It can pick up to 360 boxes an hour. Its swinging tail helps it balance movements and counterbalance the weight of a heavy box. The two wheels are used for fast and efficient flat surface movement, while the legs are used to take it anywhere. What do you think of these robots? What areas do you think we need more robots or no robots at all? Please let us know in the comments section below. And please don't forget to like and share this video with your friends. Thank you for watching.
Okay, you have seen Mama-like robots, and I told you that you're slowly approaching. What you see here in the slide is a Erika robot. It's an advanced Android designed as a research platform to study the human-robot interaction. It understands the natural language, synthesized human-like voice, and can display variety of facial expression. It can actually have a conversation with you. It will actually blink the eye and smile at you. Okay, now you see here a small clip. News anchor.
エリカチャンネルをご覧の皆様、こんにちは。私の趣味は映画鑑賞、スポーツ観戦、あとはアニメを見ることです。私と同じ趣味がありますか？
Did you notice that he has decided, the researcher decided to give a conscious mind to it. So he is actually working on it. Now you see, it is actually used as a news anchor, right? And he is doing a lot of research. What I'm going to show you now, how it is actually reaching, right, to make us to believe that there is a possibility of creating a robot which can think itself, right? So now there are around so many related patent applications have been filed in this field, artificial intelligence. That is invention assisted by artificial intelligence. Now the point here is what would happen if AI were fully responsible for the act of invention? That AI software itself thinks and actually creates an invention. Just think about this, right? This is called the DABS AI, a device for autonomous bootstrapping and unified sentience. It's developed by Stephen Thaler. Okay, I'll quickly go through. It's an implementation of generative adversarial network GAN. Okay, I don't want to go into detail. So what really happened? He actually trained this AI software with a lot of images, auditory information, visual, so many things, right? Then what happened? This AI created two inventions. One is called the food container. Another is a warning light. Without human intervention, based on the data it has collected, right, using this generative adversarial network, right, it actually created its own invention, a food container and a warning light, using the fractal geometry. You know what is a fractal? Because all the things available in the nature will not have a definite shape. Because we have come across circle, square, triangle, but in the nature, it's a fractal in nature. Okay, so the inventor was listed in DABS AI. It's a fractal. Okay, a leaf is also a fractal image. It's not uniform. So the inventor was listed as a DABS AI. So Stephen Thaler, instead of giving his name, these two inventions, he actually given the name of the inventor as a DABS AI, but the UK European office rejected this because they said that the inventor was not human. Okay, so artificial intelligence system are not inventors yet. Say yet. So here it has actually invented itself. So why not we have robots with the thinking ability or the conscience? It's possible because we have reached a stage. Okay, this is a MIT neuroscientist. He has produced in hardware because he is actually doing a lot of things to mimic human, developing a lot of computer systems. I'll go through. So how to teach a machine to think like human? Okay, because you know about machine learning, machine intelligence, and the stage 3 we have not reached, machine consciousness, self-learning from experience. Okay, self-learning from experience without the need of external data. But most of the machines created to perform specific automated tasks. But still, we are not having machines with the creativity, feeling, understanding emotions, common sense to solve new problems and so on. Okay, it will take long time. But many advanced artificial intelligence projects, right? So they feel that to build a conscious machine based on the idea of the human function. But what is a human function, brain function? It encodes and processes multi-sensory information, integrated. Okay. So once the brain functions are properly understood, you can actually possible to program them into a computer. It is possible. Microsoft, as I told you in the beginning, they have spent US $1 billion on this project to make the computer or the machine to think. Okay, so some researchers feel that it is way to go, but some do not believe consciousness is computable. Okay, so the brains integrate information. Okay, but the today computers, the sensing and process is totally different. So brains do not operate like computers. So far we have seen. Okay, it actually adopts some neural connections depending upon the process between the subject and the environment. Okay, I'll quickly go through. Now you see. You look at this picture, immediately you say that, sir, this is a table. Whatever way it is shown, okay. The third one is actually it actually shows the image from the bottom. Still, you are able to identify it's a table. You don't have to do any analysis, right? You don't take this picture inside your brain, and inside your brain there is an image of a table. You don't actually spend some time to compare these images to that image already stored and try to see whether they resemble. All these things are not happening. Immediately say it's a table. So this machine cannot do that. It will take some time because it so a conscious person is aware. See, this is an important thing is ability to stop thinking about one thing and start thinking about another. See, suppose you are sitting and it's, just thinking about something. What happens? After some time, you get bored and stop that thinking and start a new thinking. Okay, but this is not impossible for the computer to do now because even about 80 years back, Alan Turing said a computer program could not stop its own. When the computer program is running, it cannot stop its program and start another program. It is not possible. It will take some time because this is the ability of central to consciousness. It has to possess the consciousness, then only it can do it. But we are conscious, we can do it. Okay. So consciousness is not a unity. Consciousness is a distributor in time and space, right? So that type of limitless brain capacity is not the sort of challenge finite computer can never handle. So what you are thinking, right? You have actually gone through so many slides, the development of artificial, the rise of AI, and so many applications involving artificial intelligence, machine learning, and then deep learning. So many applications. And slowly they are approaching human-like robot. They put the human head on AI software and make it actually, because you see Erika robot, right? It actually looks like a human. They are going to use say news anchor, so it can actually conversation. It can smile at you. It can yes, and that gentleman says that he is working on making it conscious. One fine morning, it may happen. So let us assume that if the machine start thinking, if the machine is going to be conscious after some time, maybe several years, we do not know. If it becomes conscious, right? If it is become self-aware, if it start thinking, then if that singularity arrives, if the machine or robot becomes super intelligence, surpasses the human intelligence, what will happen? Whether it's good or bad. Okay. So here I'm going to end this presentation with the important clip because we know that you all saw that movie Yandaran. Okay, Shankar directed this film. There he portrayed one scientist, Vasigaran. Okay, he created a robot. He in the movie he talks about lot of things about artificial intelligence. Okay. And then so this robot slowly learns and then does a lot of things and slowly starts actually the emotion, the feeling, right? The love, hatred, and so on. And after some time, it creates something which is actually some bad to the society, right? And they had a high-level committee. He'll be showing high-level committee who discusses about it and asked Vasigaran to dismantle it. And the final scene, he'll dismantle, but the Chitti robot will dismantle itself. And then finally, the head is actually placed in a museum. Okay. Why I'm saying this, it ends with a very good note. I have to appreciate Mr. Shankar. You just look at this, the final scene of robot.
இந்த பாட்டு கேக்குறது சிட்டி the most advanced android in Hyderabad. டாக்டர் வசீகரன் இதை உருவாக்கினாரு. அப்புறம் சில காரணங்களுக்காக இதை டிஸ்மேண்டில் பண்ணிட்டாங்க. ஏன்?
நான் சிந்தி காலேஜ்
Okay, today we come to explain the truth.
Okay. So you see the message here. So if you even if you make a robot which is conscious and start thinking, the same ending that we see, we fear what will happen, right? This is against the nature. Okay. So the last slide is: can machine be conscious? This is my question. After seeing all these slides, right? Just think: can machine be conscious? Is it possible? So you actually think about it, or just go to um, some material available in the net and find it out. The next question is: does it need to be conscious? That's the second question. Okay. So with these two questions, I might end my presentation. So thank you very much.
Thank you, sir. This is Mohana Bharati from EC department, sir. To be
Thank you.
precise, your session was an eye-opener for us to know about the recent research which is going on in the field of artificial intelligence, and your detailed explanation on brain structure and rise of the conscious machines will be surely stored in our hippocampus, which was a major role in learning and memory.
Yeah, that is true.
Thank you once again, sir, for your deeper and exemplary presentation. Thank
Okay.
you, sir.
Thank you very much. Thank you.
Dear
Bye.
participants, kindly join us for tomorrow's session on effective teaching strategies through cloud computing by Dr. Prashant at 9:30 a.m. Thank you.
Thank you.